Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Paige-Gruber, and I am going to briefly review the three methods of long division that we have been going over this week. So the first one you probably are not as familiar with as the standard algorithm. This is called the place value sections method, and I'm going to use a simple problem just to demonstrate how you use the place value sections. Now our number has three place values. This is going to be 528 divided by 2. So we put our whole number into the first place value section, but we're only going to divide the hundreds place. So if we're only going to divide the hundreds place, I'm going to go ahead and mark the other places with zeros. So now I'm going to take 500 and I'm going to divide that by 2. Now 2 can go into 5 twice, so we're going to say 5 divided by 2 is 2, and when I multiply 200 times 2, I get 400. I write it here and I subtract. You may need to make your boxes a little bigger for this, but here I subtracted and got 128. Now that 128 will pop up into our next section. Here we're going to, again, we're going to divide one place value at a time. However, if you note that our hundreds place is smaller than our divisor, so I'm going to need to use 12 tens instead of 100 or just 2 tens. So I'm going to go ahead and take 12 tens and mark the last place with a 0. Now 12 divided by 2 is 6. So here we have 60 times 2, which is 120, and when I subtract, I get 8. So I'm going to bring my 8 over here. I have one last section to divide, and that would be 8 divided by 2, which is 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and when I subtract, I get 0, which means I have nothing left over. I have no remainders. So these partial quotients get added up. 200 plus 60 plus 4 equals 264. So now I'm going to show you the same problem, but I'm going to do it in a little bit of a different method called expanded notation. Now when you set up the problem for expanded notation, you want to leave more room at the top of your problem. So I'm going to go ahead and write it here. Same problem. 528 divided by 2, and just like I did with the place value sections, I'll try to show you side by side, I am going to divide just the first place value, which is the 5, which is 500s. And so I'm going to mark my other places with a 0. 5 divided by 2 is 2, and then I'm going to multiply 200 times 2, which is 400. Then I subtract. When I subtract, I get 128. Now I'm going to take my 128 and I'm going to divide by 2 just with, again, the 12. I'm not going to use the 1 because it's too small, so I'm going to make 12 tens. I'm going to mark the ones place with a 0, and here I'm going to add my answer up on the top row. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 60 times 2 is 120. Subtract, and I'm left with 8. Now 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I'll add my answer to the top. 4 times 2 is 8. When I subtract, I have 0 left over. Now 200 plus 60 plus 4 is 264, which is the same answer I had before. Little more like traditional long division, a little less like the place value section, but they still work. And our final process method is called digit by digit, which, as you guessed it, is the standard algorithm. Now our goal is for students to learn the standard algorithm, but if any of these other methods work for them, they are completely beneficial to use until the student is really, really comfortable with long division and then can do the standard algorithm. So here we have the same number, and we're going to do digit by digit. So I am dividing 528 by 2, and I'm going to do it one digit at a time. I will start with my hundreds place. If I'm starting with my hundreds place, my answer will end up in my hundreds place. So I have a 5 divided by 2. So 2 can go into 5, or I can get 2 2's out of 5. So my answer is 2. 5 divided by 2 is 2. And then I'm going to find out how many leftovers I have. 2 times 2 is 4. When I subtract to find out my leftovers, I see I have 1 left over. I check real quick. I cannot get another 2 out of this 1. So as long as my number is less than my divisor, then I'm going to keep going. I bring down a copy of this 2 down here, and now I use both of these digits to divide the next time. I'm going to divide my tens place, so my answer will go in my tens place. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So I'll write that there. Now I have to see if there are any leftovers. 6 times 2 actually equals 12. So when I subtract, I will have 0 leftovers. Now I still need to keep going because there are numbers and spaces that I have not used. So I'm going to bring a copy of my 8 down and write it down here. I am now going to divide the last digit 8 by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. I'm going to write my answer above the ones place and then check for leftovers. 4 times 2 is 8, and when I subtract, I get 0 leftovers or 0 remainders. So this is how we do standard algorithm, expanded notation, and place value sections, and those are the 3 methods of long division. Once you've mastered this, we can move on to all of the other special cases of long division. Good luck!